Bitcoin has reached $70,000 just as I predicted to you all. That is a very good sign. However, we're now seeing a small correction, and I'll explain exactly why the market will likely dip a bit further before we see an upward explosion in today's video. Additionally, there are new developments between Trump and Iran, especially regarding the ultimatum ending tonight, which is supposed to bring hellfire. So friends, today is going to be very, very exciting. Don't miss it. I'd say we waste no time and jump right into it. And with that, hello and a warm welcome to a new video here on my channel. It's me, Max, and today I'm giving you an important update on the current crypto market situation. Before we dive into this video update, please scroll down and give this video a thumbs up. I'd be very happy if we could reach over 500 likes on this video. Thank you so much for your support, and feel free to comment "thanks Max" or "a great analysis." It would really help me out if you could all help push the algorithm together. I'd say, friends, let's get started right away. What has happened? Let's look at the 4-hour time frame where we can see Bitcoin has hit the $70,000 mark, which is obviously a very good sign that it's reached these price targets. This was expected, and I've been telling you for weeks that it would head towards $70,000. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. Bitcoin is at $70,000, though it's currently a bit lower. We're at $68,500, and many are saying, wait, that was just a fake pump, now the market will dump. Those people are partly right, but the market probably won't dump completely. We'll certainly see a slight and temporary sell-off, as I mentioned yesterday, before we get that upward explosion. Importantly, this currently depends partly on major geopolitical news, but we'll get into that in a moment. First, I'll show you the most realistic scenario, as Bitcoin has had an open CME gap since Monday. This can be closed and likely will be with an 80 to 85% probability, but it doesn't have to be. So there's an 85% chance Bitcoin is destined to drop back to $67,000 or even $66,500 to fill that CME gap. As I said, in 85% of cases, the market drops back down to fill those open CME gaps. Generally, the fresher the CME gap is, the faster it tends to get filled. The longer it stays open, the less likely it is to be filled soon, and the more irrelevant it becomes. This CME gap from Monday is definitely very, very relevant. So if I had to take a short-term intraday position today, I would most likely go short in order to catch this downward dump. However, once this CME gap is filled, the tide will turn, because at that point we will be very bullish, and I expect to see new market highs, potentially reaching $72,000 quite quickly as momentum shifts in favor of the buyers. Just because we would naturally continue to form an uptrend here in this smaller time frame as well. So even if we get that downward correction, which is 85% likely, we've just formed another uptrend that fits the bigger picture and is naturally bullish. Because if we take a look at this, where exactly is Bitcoin breaking out right now? Well, quite simply, we're breaking out of a falling wedge right now, which is a bullish pattern and consequently results in a high price target. Specifically, we're looking at a price target of over $75,000 or even $76,000, because the target of a falling wedge is the top of the wedge or the previous move. That puts us at around $78,000. Personally, I'm aiming for price targets between $75,000 and $79,000, which definitely makes sense to me here. This means as soon as the market dumps a bit further, I'll also continue to expand my currently still existing long trade. This long trade is now slightly in drawdown again, but only very minimally. So I tend to call this more of a break-even situation. The funding fees are actually currently higher than the actual loss in this trade. Yeah, and I'll scale up this position accordingly as soon as the market comes down again to $67,000. So as soon as we fill the CME gap, I'll place another order down here, because from this point, the probability of the market rising further is quite high. That means I'm going to increase my existing trade. But of course, what you could also do is theoretically open a completely new trade here. Also, don't forget, I'll be live again today at 2 p.m. for the market opening. So definitely tune in there, friends. We won't just talk about the Bitcoin situation once, and we won't just place my orders, but we'll also naturally look at how the ultimatum with Trump is looking. We'll touch on that again very briefly in a moment. Many people asked about Ethereum again. Yes, Ethereum looks very good here too. In terms of the pushes, it's also fine. I'd tend to hope for something a bit stronger for Ethereum, but as soon as Bitcoin has actually finished its correction and finally moves up, the same will likely happen for Ethereum, and for Ethereum, I'd target the range of $2,300 to $2,400. Those are definitely some pretty good price targets. And yes, I'll also open a new Ethereum position here at $2,050. I'll probably do that live in the stream today, because I can easily imagine that we'll see the bottom where we can enter today at the market opening at 3:30 p.m. I'm always live from 2 p.m. so that we can analyze, talk about things, and just get everything prepared. So definitely be there from 2 p.m. because that's when I'll set the orders, and then my new trades will likely enter the market during the first wrong move at the opening. That means that overall, things are looking very good for Bitcoin for now. For Ethereum too, Bitcoin is ultimately more important than Ethereum itself because Bitcoin is the leading index of the crypto market. We can see that with the breakout from this falling wedge, we saw a higher high for Bitcoin. This didn't fail to happen for Ethereum, but it's not as pronounced here as it is for Bitcoin. For me, that's not a deal breaker just yet. But Bitcoin is also currently testing this resistance, which of course suggests it's heading further down, which will happen because we have a CME gap, but then it'll likely push up relatively quickly and strongly, and accordingly, that could even happen by the end of the week. So I can easily imagine us hitting $78,000 or $79,000 again by the end of the week, depending on how fast the upcoming market movements are. That's obviously very hard to predict. The important thing first is the first stop would be down here, to close this open CME gap once, and then the market can pick up momentum after that. But once we pick up momentum here, the whole thing will move relatively quickly. Also, don't forget that we still have quite a bit of news coming up on Thursday and Friday. That means on Thursday, we have the total expenditure price index, and here we have the consumer price index on Friday. So important numbers are coming in again on Thursday and Friday, which would of course also confirm the scenario once more, that it'll likely escalate upwards quite suddenly towards the end of the week, but a lot currently depends on the numbers and also on the situation in Iran. But if everything goes smoothly, Bitcoin will most likely be around $75,000 to $79,000 by the end of the week, probably Saturday or Sunday, maybe even Monday next week, and that'll likely be the end of it for now because I think we'll continue to correct up here first. But friends, let's reach these price targets up here first. Then back to the Trump situation. Trump reaffirms the Iran ultimatum, and Tehran, the capital of Iran, rejects the ceasefire. That means here, I don't even want to go into it that deeply because this topic also annoys me extremely, But in short, Trump has accordingly set the ultimatum to open the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil routes for all the oil tankers. Iran has that under control, and they're saying, no, we're not going to open it up. And because of that, Trump has then accordingly kept setting ultimatums and saying, yes, now we're extending it again, now we're extending it again, and now it was Easter, we're extending it again. So it's always this game, the ultimatum just keeps getting extended. But now Trump has actually made a real announcement saying, hey, if the whole thing isn't open by Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern time, which would be 2 a.m. Or 2 o'clock early Wednesday morning German time, so basically tonight at 2 a.m., that would be the ultimatum, then hellfire will break out and Iran will be completely bombed to pieces. And that could, of course, take another crazy turn, which is obviously not yet foreseeable how it will affect the market. So definitely be careful there for now. I'll naturally gather more information about that in the stream today so that we can discuss the whole thing in detail in the stream today. I'm also curious to hear your opinion. So friends, I'd say feel free to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment for the algorithm, and then I'll see you today at 2 p.m. in the stream, and until then, and bye.